Welcome back. Thanks for staying with the broadcast. Motorists are now free to use both lanes near Sandals along the Grocery Highway. The long-awaited opening has come at an opportune time for the festive season. The Hot 7 TV crew reached out to the motoring public to find out exactly how they feel about the project and if it was worth the wait.
The road widening project near Sandals on the Grocery Highway is officially open. After 4 long months of construction, the bottleneck near Sandals has been alleviated. However, the project was not without its hiccups and time constraints. So we pose the question to you, the motoring public. Was the road widening worth the wait? This is what you had to say.
What I think about the road, well, right now it's a little much better. I wouldn't mind, it's a little much better helping us. But to see, like, it's not 100%. Because right now it's too bumpy. It could cause a lot of accidents, especially going up to the left. It's very dangerous.
So was it worth the wait for the 4 months?
Well, it's worth it because right now we're moving and right now we don't have, like in Castries, we don't have people like waiting for us like the way they used to before, but it's much better.
Oh, I think it's a good idea. I think it's very good. Ease out on the traffic right now. To take passengers to shop, it will only take maybe 4 minutes. So the road is alright, in my opinion. Very good.
So motorists waited 4 months to see the completion. Do you think that wait was worth what you guys are seeing now?
Well, I must say we waited patiently, but now it's here, so I'm quite satisfied. A little bumpy, but I mean, we could work with that. Very good. I think it's a good idea because right now the traffic is released. When you remember mornings, normally get St. James. Right now we're driving through here, orange is flowing. I find it was a very good idea.
It's a good help. It's a good help for us right now. But I wish it will continue because from what I realize is like when you leave that 2 lanes they open there, you get so if they open up at least another lane so that it's 2 lanes to the right, and we need some more roundabout so that the traffic is so that's what I can say.
I believe the wait was too long. The widening of the road it's okay, but the project, the people who had the project, if they couldn't handle it, I think they should have said that the road is extremely rough. I even think that I'm in the tunnel road. I think I'm on the sea when I'm driving. It's not done smoothly for a project that I think they said that for smooth. I think it should have been, the outcome, the product should have been a lot better.
Another driver mentioned that higher up there's still a congestion, there's still a bottleneck. Do you think something should be done about that as well?
Well, we were supposed to be expecting that because the widening of the road from 1 lane to 2 lane by Sandals, it will speed up the time that we get to the roundabout. So if there's a bottleneck at top of the road, I think we expect to get there a lot faster. So we were expecting that.
I think the condition we were in close, to that season, it was really bad for us as drivers. It was sort of crippling us in terms of our movement from the north to the city. Yeah, so I think the wait, it wasn't worth it for us. The results is good. The fact that we could have a quicker access to throughout the double lanes, but yeah, the wait, nah. I find they spend too much time. They stretch that work too long.
There you have it. Motorists have expressed mixed feelings about the finished product, questioning the time frame and overall finish of the road. As for the traffic, which plagued northbound motorists, for the most part, it seems to be smooth sailing. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Sola Jalpa.
Meanwhile, the Chamber of Commerce says the way the project was implemented left much to be desired. The executive director says more should have been done in an effort to minimize the impact on the business community. According to him, communication deteriorated throughout the span of the project, and even when things were not progressing as initially promised, there was little information being funneled to the chamber. The St. Lucia Chamber of Commerce says while it fully appreciates the benefits of the Sandals to Chalk road widening project, that does not negate the fact that the Ministry of Infrastructure should have coordinated the project better. Executive Director of the St. Lucia Chamber of Commerce, Brian Louisi, says a poor job was done of managing the project.
There's no doubt that the road works and the improvement in the road infrastructure is needed and would benefit the economy and the country. The fundamental question is whether the way the project was implemented and the costs that it incurred on the business community was reasonable and justified. I think for sure we would say that economic benefits far outweigh the losses, but then when you look at the businesses themselves, can you ever recover those losses? And are these losses, could they have been avoided? And so I think that is the fundamental discussion.
Louisi says the experience was certainly not a good one for the business community or the general public. He is not convinced that the full scope of the negative impact on the business community is appreciated by those who executed the project.
I think there needs to be a greater sensitivity to the fact that how the actions of one impact the other. You are at the busiest and most important time in the business's year cycle, where a large percentage of their profits and their sales are generated there, and at that point they are interrupted and interfered with. That's just not acceptable, and I think the country can do much better. I think those who executed the project needed to work much better and improve their delivery and execution. And I think the project needed to be managed better. And I hope that we could all learn from that.
Louisi says initially the ministry did a commendable job of engaging the chamber, but he says as the project progressed and inordinate delays were occurring, the chamber had to take it upon itself to reach out to the Ministry of Infrastructure for information. He hopes that the downside of this project will never again happen with subsequent road projects. Deputy Chief Engineer in the Ministry of Infrastructure, Len Leon, is the project manager of the Sandals to Chalk road widening project. He is responding to public concerns that the newly completed project is not the solution to alleviate the problems with the flow of traffic, as suggested by a former chief engineer in the Ministry of Infrastructure. Leon has also addressed concerns about the lanes being too narrow. In a previous interview with Hot 7 TV News, former chief engineer in the Ministry of Infrastructure, John Peters, made the case that the Sandals to Chalk road widening project is not the answer to the issue of poor traffic flow.
I don't understand what is being planned. I don't understand. It could not be a widening to 2 lanes. I mean, that's impossible. So what is the net effect of that expenditure? God alone knows what was the thinking of the ministry at that particular time. I am totally bemused. It defies any transportation logic to understand what was the core intent of that particular works that we see going on there. But time will tell whether it was an investment that made sense or it was an exercise in futility.
Speaking as a guest on Hot 7 TV's The Hot Seat on Wednesday, the project manager, who is also the deputy chief engineer in the Ministry of Infrastructure, Len Leon, responded to the comments. He says there is no one-time fix for the current traffic woes, but he says the intervention undertaken with the road widening project is needed.
Well, first of all, that's a personal statement. We do the studies, we recognize where all the issues and the problems are. There's not one or two, there's many. The question is, in what order do you do them? What budget do you have? How much investigation needs to be done? Should there be consultancies? Where is the finances coming from? I mean, it's a large thing. This was able to deal with just one tip of the iceberg. There are many.
Leon says Castries requires a thorough study to really understand traffic flow and to plan interventions, but he says that cannot be done overnight. As for criticism regarding the lanes of the road widening project being too narrow, Leon says that argument holds no weight.
The northbound carriageway is no different to the southbound carriageway. And so if the general public are able to maneuver on the southbound lane, dual carriageway, without too much problems, I don't see why they should have any problem on the northbound lane, which is the same 3-meter width both lanes.
In the new year, Leon and his team will come back to tidy up any loose ends on the Sandals to Shock road widening project. He also indicated that a number of road interventions are currently being planned for the new year. The festive season does come with its own unique challenges, one of which being the unfortunate accidental fiery situations. To avoid a fire destroying the festive mood in your home, the St. Lucia Fire Service Department is sharing some useful tips for Christmas fire prevention.
Jingle bells and Christmas lights all make up the scene for Christmas time. However, during the festive season, the St. Lucia Fire Service is reminding members of the public to exercise mindfulness. The festive season is known as a time when an uprise in unfortunate fiery incidents occurs due to an increase in cooking and use of electricity. Leading firefighter 542 Stacy Joseph provides details on ways to avoid a fiery Christmas situation.
The holidays are a time for celebration, and that means more cooking. And there are a variety of situations that could lead to unwanted fires in the kitchen. The main cause is unattended cooking. So we'd like to encourage people to stay in the kitchen and don't leave cooking unattended. Enforce a child-free zone, which is a 3-feet area around the stove where children are not allowed to enter. Do not cook if you're sleepy or if you have been drinking alcohol or if you've taken medication that makes you drowsy. Have a pot lid handy to smother a pan fire. Do not attempt to pick up the pot or the pan. Shut off the heat and slide the lid slowly over the pan. Do not use water. It will cause splashing and spread the fire. Treat burns immediately with cool running water.
Joseph says keep clutter away from the cooking area and avoid putting highly flammable materials like kitchen towels, pot holders, and curtains near open flames. She moves on to the issue of Christmas lights.
Christmas trees are enjoyed in many homes now in St. Lucia as a tradition. And however, both real and artificial trees pose a risk of fire. Protect your family and your neighbors by unplugging your tree lights if you are going to bed or if you are leaving the house. Keep lit candles away from decorations and your trees. Some lights are only for indoor or outdoor use. Check electrical cords to make sure they are not running across doorways or under carpets. Extension cords are intended for temporary use. Never overload your outlets or your extension cords. Check your wiring on a regular basis. Look for outlets that don't work, light switches that get hot, or lights that flicker. If these do occur, check with an electrician immediately.
The St. Lucia Fire Service Department stands ready to serve the public during the festive season. However, the department continues to urge members of society to engage in safe fire prevention practices. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Sola Jalka.
This is the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Stay with us. There's more news coming up after the break.